At 3:33 a.m., the silence in a steel-lined vault beneath the English countryside signaled the end of a rebellion. While the world slept, believing the Duke of Sussex was simply attending a routine charity event in London, the reality was far more clinical and much more permanent. Deep inside a reinforced safe room at Highgrove House, the unthinkable had just transpired. Prince Harry didn't just break a few rules of royal etiquette. He reportedly severed his final tether of loyalty to the life he built in Montecito. Intelligence sources suggest that while the public was looking the other way, Harry was sitting across a cold metal table from his estranged brother, Prince William, in a space physically and digitally severed from the rest of the world. In that room, Harry allegedly signed what is being called the Highgrove Accord, a document that is less a peace treaty and more a total surrender 500 miles away. In the quiet luxury of California, Meghan Markle woke up to a terrifying, absolute silence. Sources indicate that upon checking her private security application, she discovered that Harry's tracking signal had completely vanished, entering a total dead zone. She realized, perhaps too late, that her husband hadn't just gone off the grid for a moment of reflection. He had walked directly into a tactical trap set by the future king. The questions now swirling around this clandestine meeting are chilling. Why did Prince William demand this confrontation in the middle of the night? And what is contained within the explosive Clause 4 of the agreement that has reportedly left Meghan in a state of fury? We have managed to piece together the timeline of this covert extraction. The truth of what happened in that iron vault is a narrative of power, survival, and the high price of a royal title. To truly grasp why Prince Harry found himself in a rain-battered safe house in Gloucestershire rather than his sun-drenched mansion in Montecito, one must understand the single thing the British palace fears more than family scandals: a constitutional crisis. This time, the threat wasn't a tabloid headline or a tell-all interview. It was a legal challenge originating from a courtroom in Washington, D.C. For months, the Heritage Foundation has been aggressively seeking the release of Prince Harry's U.S. visa records. Without the protective shield of diplomatic status, the Duke of Sussex is remarkably vulnerable to the shifting winds of American immigration policy. This vulnerability was the leverage the palace needed. The problem the monarchy has been trying to bury involves Harry's remaining official role. Under British law, Prince Harry still serves as a counselor of state. This means that if King Charles were to be incapacitated or traveling abroad, Harry is one of a very small number of individuals authorized to exercise royal authority. This position isn't just a vanity title. It provides a crucial layer of diplomatic protection, a heritage shield that Harry requires to maintain his stability in the United States. However, a massive legal loophole threatened to shatter this protection entirely. To hold the power of a counselor of state, one must possess a physical residence on British soil. Since being evicted from Frogmore Cottage, Harry has been technically homeless in the eyes of the law in his own home country. This made his legal standing fragile, perhaps even invalid, and Prince William knew exactly how to use that fact. The operation to bring the Duke in was executed with the kind of military precision one might expect of a high-stakes extraction. At 1 a.m., a blacked-out civilian helicopter cut through the freezing rain, touching down on a secluded lawn at Highgrove. No flight plans were filed with public aviation logs, and no photographers were tipped off. It was a tactical move. The moment Harry's boots hit the wet tarmac, any illusion of a warm homecoming was erased. There were no hugs from his father or handshakes from his brother. Instead, two senior royal protection officers stepped forward with a singular, chilling demand. "Your phone, sir." In that instant, the Duke went dark. Stripped of his digital connection to his wife and his team, he was ushered into a communications dead zone. This was a calculated move to ensure that for the next few hours, the only voice Harry would hear was that of the future king. Harry was led away from the familiar, comfortable rooms of the main house and down toward the secure archives. He likely believed he was there to sign a simple lease agreement to satisfy the Counselor of State requirements. He didn't realize that the landlord he was negotiating with wasn't his father, King Charles, but the Prince of Wales. And William wasn't there to offer a lease. He was there to deliver an ultimatum. As the rain lashed against the stone walls of Highgrove, The sun was just beginning to rise in California. Meghan Markle's routine was shattered by a silence that felt heavier than the morning mist. Usually, she could expect a standard check-in text from Harry, a protocol he always followed during his travels to confirm his safety. But the screen of her phone remained dark. According to sources close to the Sussex camp, suspicion quickly turned to panic. When she opened the family's high-level tracking system, a necessity for their high-risk lifestyle, the map was blank. The signal had been jammed. She knew immediately what a dead zone implied. It meant high-level clearance. It meant the king, or more likely, William, was pulling the strings. The news alert soon followed, with British tabloids breaking stories about a secret return to Windsor. Meghan sat upright, realizing this wasn't the charity trip she had discussed with her husband. It was a clandestine summit. Her calls went straight to voicemail. The realization hit her that this had been planned for weeks, right under her nose. Harry had seemed distracted lately, but she had misread the signs. This secrecy wasn't to protect him from the media, it was to protect the plan from her. She knew that while King Charles might be swayed by a father's sentiment, William was the enforcer. She feared that without her presence to intervene, Harry would be vulnerable to the crushing weight of royal guilt, duty, and heritage. The meeting itself didn't happen in a library or a lounge. It happened in the Iron Vault, a reinforced archive buried deep beneath Highgrove, housing the most sensitive deeds of the Duchy of Cornwall. The air was cold and climate-controlled. When the steel door clicked shut, Harry found himself facing William across a metal table under harsh fluorescent lights. Sources suggest that the king, perhaps too emotionally compromised by his own health battles, had delegated this cold negotiation to the one man who would not hesitate to be ruthless. William reportedly wasted no time. He slid a leather folder across the table containing the Highgrove Accord. "You need a shield," William is said to have told him. He wasn't talking about bodyguards. He was talking about the American courts and the threat of deportation. The document offered a lifeline, a lease for a secure property on the Highgrove estate, which would restore Harry's legal standing as a counselor of state. But the price was staggering. Attached to the lease was a perpetual non-disclosure agreement. In exchange for legal safety, Harry would have to agree to a total media blackout regarding the king's health and the private affairs of the Wales family. No more memoirs. No more documentaries. No more truth bombs. William's choice was binary. You sign as my brother and you get the protection of the crown, or you walk out of here as a tourist and face the American courts alone. Harry was trapped. If he didn't sign, he risked his visa, his status, and the birthright of his children. If he did sign, he betrayed the promise he made to Meghan to never let the institution control their narrative again. The silence in the vault was deafening as William checked his watch, noting that the helicopter was leaving in 10 minutes, with or without a signature. Harry stared at the fountain pen on the table. In his mind's eye, he likely saw Meghan's face and the years they had spent fighting to sever these very ties. But the dossier William presented, containing intelligence from the British Embassy in Washington, painted a grim picture. It suggested that without royal protection, Harry was just another foreign national with a complicated history, a prime target for political maneuvering in the US. The realization was a physical blow. He had to choose between his wife's principles and his family's survival. With a trembling hand, Harry picked up the pen. He didn't look at his brother. He looked at the paper, feeling the weight of the betrayal he was about to commit. The sound of the pen on the page was the only noise in the room. He signed the papers, capped the pen, and pushed the folder back. He thought he was securing a future, but he had effectively pulled the pin on a grenade. William took the briefcase, offered no thank you or welcome home, and simply stated that the car was waiting. As the helicopter lifted off into the rainy night, the protection officers returned Harry's phone. The dead zone was lifted. The screen exploded with notifications, missed calls from lawyers, emails from foundations, and news alerts. But there were no messages from Meghan. No angry texts. No frantic voicemails. Just an icy, profound silence.